episode we're going to be changing the engine mounts, because might as well. And then I'm just going to put the subframe back on. I was feeling a bit comfortable on the sofa, so I thought I'd come back out and roll around on the concrete floor for a couple hours. So it's back to work on the Beamer again. But I might as well replace the engine mounts while the subframe's dropped and the engine's been supported. So hopefully I've got the right ones. So I got some Febby Bilstein engine mounts. So hopefully they're the right ones. We'll soon find out, won't we? Let's go on a amazing journey of discovery together. This is the moment all these extensions have been waiting for. Your time has come. So there's the top of, where are we? One of the mounts. That bolt there. And then on the other side, you can see it just through there. There's the other one. That should be a bit easier to undo, seeing as I've got the intake off. As you can see, well, I don't know whether you can actually, they're at a funny angle. So if you were to come at that bolt straight, that nut, sorry, you'd be going straight through the engine. So I was quite surprised this actually worked, but I've got one of these. It's only a tiny little one. Allows you to come in from a different angle. So that was a 16mm socket. I got all these bloody adapters. And then on the end of that was like another bloody 20 inches of adapters, of extensions, and then just a breaker bar. To be honest, I was expecting this to break before that nut undid, but it actually undid. So yeah, probably worth getting a more solid one, a bigger one, when you do yours. But hey, it's actually undone. I did put some penetrating spray on it beforehand, try and help a bit. Can't really get a blowtorch in there to do anything. So yeah, happy days. They look pretty much the same, unless I'm missing something here. I thought they would be. I can't see why you'd have loads of different mounts for different models of E46. What the old one did have on is this plate. Swap that over onto the new one. If, like me, you're taking this off with your subframe already dropped, you have to kind of reach down and grab hold of this, otherwise it just spins while you try and undo it from the top. Or get someone to do it for you if you've got any friends. So I'm trying to find the best way of getting this all the subframe and all that back on. I think it's actually better to get your engine mount fitted to the subframe and then sort of direct it into the hole as you lift it all up. It's daft trying to do it the other way around. That explains why I did it. So I've managed to just feed the steering shaft in. See, it's got that bit there which guides you in to this slot. So I've got that in a little bit, just lined up. All this stuff's not that heavy, although you've got it on a jack. You can easily lift it with one hand while you're trying to get it in the right place. So it's just got all twisted while I've been doing other stuff, so it's just trying to get it all lined back up again. So I've got some bolts in finger tight. A bit of a peg of a job really to get to do. Fucking yeah, I was lying with my head over there on that cushion, so head towards the middle of the car, and then just trying to get it up and level so I could at least get one bolt in one side a little bit, and try and get another bolt in the other side, and then try and level it up. Definitely put the engine mounts, attach them to the subframe first. Do them up finger tight, makes it a lot easier. What can I say? Been lying here for hours trying to do it. What with the control arms not attached, it just all wants to go all over the shop. I'm gonna have to chuck some cable ties on this. So it's odd, these, I tried to undo these to when I don't know what I was trying to do a couple of days ago. I tried to undo these, but it's almost like the bolt doesn't go through, it's just rubber. So I undid them, it just ripped the rubber. So put a couple of trusty cable ties up there, nice, do the job. So I've had enough today. Just chuck these cable ties on, and time for a cider, I think. So that steering wheel position's not ideal. Jolt. So that's the wheels, pretty straight. Yeah, I'll have to undo the steering shaft again and try and straighten the wheels up by hand. Damn it. If you're a bit of a numpty like me, and you put the steering shaft back on with your wheels pointing off at some funny direction, you can actually just undo the two bolts on, so UK cars on the driver's side, obviously where the steering shaft is. If you undo the two bolts that go from the subframe to the chassis, you can just pretty much undo them until they're on the last couple of thread, and you can drop the subframe down enough to better pull the steering shaft out of whatever it fits into, the thing that goes off to the steering rack. You can just pull it out, and then you can just straighten the wheels up, and then get that shaft back in. So there's the two mounts I took off. Not as bad as I thought they would be. So this was the UK passenger side, front left. It's pretty rusty. Rubber's a little bit Paris, but structurally it looks fine. This is the UK driver's side. I think it's just a bit wet from where I've been touching it. I've spilt oil on it. This one don't look too bad at all. Oh well. Might as well swap them though, innit, while it's off. Doesn't seem to be any torque settings for the engine mounts, because they're in this section, but there's nothing in the torque settings. So I'm just going to do them up tight, basically. So that's everything, apart from the it's a bit close. So everything apart from the power steering pump's been put back on the underside, apart from obviously the trace brace thing. Because I'm going to be replacing the expansion tank, which doesn't really make any sense. What I meant to say was I'm going to do an oil filter housing gasket. So I think I'll leave the power steering pump off until I've done that. So I can't quite remember what you need to get off for that. So what's causing me problems? This little bastard here. Where the control arm, bush, lollipop, whatever you want to call it, where that attaches to the chassis. So one more than the other of those bolts was dying to cross thread itself. So yeah, fucking nightmare. So I've managed to so firstly I tried with one of these, try and freshen up the thread in there. Didn't really help, or maybe it did, because then I got a tiny little file, tried to remove the first few rows of thread because they look like the ones that were the little buggers. And then still, when I was trying to put, well, both of them, I was trying to put the bolts in, you could see them pulling off in a, rather than going in centrally, they were pulling off to a certain direction. So I basically managed to screw them in by pulling the socket and attachment on the ratchet, pulling it back away from where it was trying to go, so trying to center the bolt the whole time. When I was screwing it in, I didn't really know whether it was still crossfading, but kept checking. It kept looking like it was nice and central and going in perpendicular and all that. So yeah, note to self: don't take that fucker off again. So also can't be bothered to drag myself back in there, so I'm going to see if I can find the engine mount. And got a nice new shiny nut on that. The old ones were a bit worn and didn't really feel like they wanted to go on, so I've got a couple new nuts on them. That reminds me, don't forget to put the nut on the top side of the mount, so above the engine bracket. Good job I remembered to do that. There's the little buggers. Not buggers. There they are, waiting to go back on. Let's get them back on. So a lot of people ask how I keep track of all the nuts and bolts and keep track of what work I've done and what I've removed and all that. Well, actually no one's ever asked that, but I thought I'd tell you anyway. So I've basically scribbled down everything I'm doing. Even if you don't know what it's called, just write something down, and then obviously you just do it all back in reverse pretty much when you put everything back together. And I've got a great big pack of baggies, so just basically I think I've got loads down there on the floor. See, loads of bags with nuts and bolts in them, and I just write down what they are and where they've come from. I've got some stuff out on the workshop where I've put the bolts in a baggie and then just taped them to the part. Just try and keep everything in order, because it's easy to just completely forget what you were doing and what orders to do things and which nuts or bolts are for what. Especially like with this build where I've started it about 4 months ago, and then for whatever reasons couldn't do any more, and then getting back to it now, so it's too easy to forget what you were doing. Next we'll be doing the oil filter housing gasket and the expansion tank, so join me next time on the channel where the excitement never stops. Please like and subscribe. See you next time. Cheers. Bye.